I spaced out for a second. What I missed?
Absolutely nothing. Moving on.
Something I hope that we cut out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Editor, strike all this.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a note, actually.
Just throw a bomb at it. Delete everything up until the 3-minute mark.
Oh,
There, Jay,
no.
you have 20 seconds to get your sillies out.
Okay.
Oh my.
I hope you are happy.
I'm very happy. Gonna go get me a Nutter Butter. It's in the fridge.
You are a Nutter Butter.
Thank you.
Well, Jay's a butter.
Well,
Yeah.
well, we.
No,
yeah,
we're not talking about any more of that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Brunch of Idiots podcast. I am your hostess with the mostess, Riley. And today with me, we have Aiden, Jay, and RJ.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And do we have a city to greet Brunch to?
No. Crap,
Happy
I
Brunch,
keep
Paradise,
thinking of
Pennsylvania.
Places that we've already said Happy Brunch to. Hold on.
Paradise, Pennsylvania is a place. If not
Happy
Paradise,
Brunch
Texas
to
is.
Hollywood, California.
Sure. Happy Brunch to Hollywood, California. Just that one neighborhood.
Just the one.
Not the rest of LA.
Nope.
Just Hollywood. Might as well. It's apropos.
We're off to a great start
We're off to
today.
a well, and it's going to
It's
be an
your
even
fault. No,
better topic because today we're telling stories about our brushes with the law.
Brushes with the law.
Stories, if you will.
Oh, boy.
This is inspired by something that happened to Aiden and I last night.
Oh! Oh!
Yes. That's right. You heard it here
Oh.
first.
So, in case our intrepid listeners did not know, Aiden and I are roommates. I rent a room from him, right? Aiden owns the house, and that's how that works, right? We are siblings. I need to make this expressly clear. We are
Please.
full biological siblings, and I rent a room from Aiden, okay? Thank you. Putting a pin in that. It is almost exactly 9:30 at night last night. I am sitting in our living room, which is, you know, we have an open concept floor plan, pretty much. You can see into the living area from the front window, which anybody can see, especially since I have the lights on and it is pitch black outside, right?
Help.
All of a sudden, 9:30 at night, I hear banging on our door, which is like 2 feet behind me. And I immediately call out to Aiden. I ask, "Hey, did you get any food?" To which Aiden responds, "No, I did not get any food." So then I get off of the couch that I'm sitting on. Again, full view from the street. I have been sitting on the couch doom scrolling for like 3 hours, right? I go and I fetch Aiden because Lord knows I, a woman, am not going to be answering the door alone at night. That's stupid, and I'm not stupid most of the time. And so I go and get Aiden. Aiden had been playing League with the boys TM.
The boys. Coming soon on another broadcast.
Anyway,
Fine soon.
and when I'm talking to Aiden, we're walking to the front door. Again, it's not a very far distance. It's not a huge house. And we hear banging on the door again. And I'm like, what the heck? And then through the door, we hear, it's the police. And you can't see my face right now, but my eyebrows are now in my hairline. Because why do we have the police at our front door at 9:30 at night? Which, not the latest ever, but definitely not the time that I want the police to show up. Really, ideally, I would like them to never show up, right?
I was about to say, I was like, is there a time you prefer them to show up?
An
Well, definitely
International
not at
Police
9:30 at
Helps
night.
You Day, I guess.
Preferably after my house has been robbed.
Right, not before. So, Aiden opens up the door a crack because we have dogs and they are not happy. Their night of peace has been, interrupted. And Aiden goes, howdy, officer. Aiden and his round-faced, bearded glory, like, sporting a red, white, and blue Hawaiian shirt. He's like, can I help you? And the cops, I cannot see what is going on at this point. I can't see their faces because I am standing behind Aiden, and I'm flat. My flabbers are gasted.
Flabbers gasted, brows in hairline.
Exactly. You get the picture. And then the cop says, is everybody doing all right in there? And I'm like, I was doing great before y'all showed up. I was having a peaceful evening. Right? So, the cop goes, yeah, somebody reported, screaming from this location? And both Aiden and I are like, excuse me? Because we're not loud people. I mean, sometimes I yell at games, sure. But I'm not a loud person, at least not normally. And so we're both, like, standing there shocked that anybody would call for any reason, especially a noise complaint on us. And then Aiden's like, well, I mean, I've been playing video games. And the cop goes, well, what you been playing? And Aiden says, League. And the cops go, okay, so you were probably just raging, right? And I'm over here like, no, he was not raging. There was not a single yell. I don't understand why
Yeah, for
anyone
context,
would think that.
because Jay and I were also playing that
we were-
evening, and it was a pretty calm session for, like, as far as our league sessions go. Like, we were just vibing, having a good time.
Pretty sure
There
I
was
was
no...
sassing.
This was last night. The two of y'all were playing. I was at work, just
that's right.
vibing in call from work.
Yeah, but, like, as far as, like, League of Legends emotions go, like, the vibe was pretty down low.
I think
So-
Aiden was actually talking to me because I was BSing with Aiden.
Right.
I was.
And so, like,
sassing Jay.
yeah, he was sassing me in call, which, for context, I'm on the other side of, like, a city from Aiden. Like, up
Yeah.
downtown. But yeah,
So, to my knowledge, at this point, there's only maybe 2 police officers outside. I don't know how many officers there are outside. I do know one shined a light into the window, which was weird because I had all the lights in the main part of the house on.
That
You
is
could
true.
see
That was kind of
into the
weird.
house.
I think they just wanted to do it because they were.
Well, that's what I think. So anyway, okay. Before I get off track, because it gets worse, right?
Oh no.
The cops pretty much chalk it up to Aiden probably just raged and somebody overreacted, and then they leave, right? Then Aiden turns around and he's like, there were like 3 cops outside. And And I'm like, wow, that was really weird. I hope that never happens again. And I go to sit down, right? And then I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden, 5 different cop cars' lights turn on.
Like vans
They
and
had
such.
driven down our street with no headlights on. There were 2, SUVs. Right? They turned around and, had a powwow at the end of our street. And then, 10 minutes later, rolled away. But I think one of our neighbors swatted us.
I was about to say, it kind of sounds like y'all got swatted a little bit, because I think generally for noise complaints, they only send 2 people. Even for wellness checks, they don't send a
That's-
whole platoon of
There
officers.
was a whole
Insane.
swath of people just out there. And I think the only reason we didn't get, more violently swatted is because they could see me sitting from the road, and I literally did not move. I
Before
was
anyone else
chilling.
goes, I want to give you all the perspective I think this cop had, by the way, because the one that shined the light in our house was also the one that talked to me. So, they get this call, right? And they're acting very professional and serious about it. And the first knock happens. And then he hears from inside the house, because we don't have the best noise suppression, especially from the common area of the house.
Can
So
confirm
he
I've been to their
hears-
house.
Aiden, did you order food? And then he hears, no, I didn't order food. Well, can you get the door? Because I'm scared.
And then they're like, it's the police. This isn't DoorDash.
That's exactly what happened. They were like, police, can you open the door? And then they open the door, and yes, I'm in my Hawaiian shirt, just
Vibing.
bearded, just me. Opens
Signature
the door.
Hawaiian shirt.
I won't say it's a complete and utter disarming smile, but I have a fairly good vibe about myself, I think.
I would agree.
Just open the door and I'm like, howdy, officer, can I help you?
If a golden retriever became a human, it would be you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
In the best way possible.
Yeah. So he just kind of everyone was standing very relaxed, Riley, just to let you know.
I'm so glad. 'Cause I was
Well,
Yeah. No one was tense at that point.
Well, yeah, because like Riley said, they could see her through the window. It's not like there was any racket going on. She's just sitting there, just peacefully hanging out in the living room. They're like, y'all good?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
And when
are
I
y'all good?
mentioned the video games, he just kind of smiled. It was a very understanding smile. This was a younger fellow.
But for further context too, because I had brought this up last night when we were talking about it. Y'all's house isn't in one of those packed neighborhoods. In
No.
order to hear things coming from your house, you have to be right up against the house. It's not
Right.
like you're gonna hear, especially because there's not screaming or yelling going on, you know. But you'd have to be pretty close. It's not something they'd be able to hear from their house next door or across the street.
Yeah.
Yep.
Only thing I could think of is somebody happened to be walking by outside and heard, "Hey, get out!" Aiden talking to me while I'm just messing around in
But
VC.
also,
What?
who's
was
walking
also,
around with a stick
hours
up their
ago.
butt to where they get
I
so
don't know.
offended or scared that they hear this and they're like, "Oh, I have to call the police on this house."
See, okay, we also have neighbors who have reported us for literally trying to repair our own roof after a tornado.
They don't like you. Your
So
neighbors
they-
do not like you.
They don't like us. Now, mind you, that happened a year and a half ago. But also,
Shout out to Riley and Aiden's neighbors.
You watch
Please
this.
don't listen to this podcast.
if you do, stop it, please. We ain't done nothing wrong to you.
Stop it. Get some help.
I could have a whole maybe one of these podcast episodes will touch neighbors. No, not actually, but like the
Please
concept
don't.
of neighbors.
Please don't.
I love my
Join
neighbors.
us in the next episode where we will touch our neighbors.
No, no,
Gently.
no.
Our
Like
across
head
the street
pats.
neighbor like loves my family, and I've like she's babysat me while my parents have been out. So
You have good neighbors. We have
Yeah.
very sucky neighbors.
I've also lived in the same house for 22 years,
That is also very good.
and
That
she's
is-
been there my whole life. So yeah. Anyway, back to
Anywho. Police stories. Who's got
police
them?
stories. So I've been pulled over a handful of times. I've only ever got like 2 tickets, and I feel like the ticket stories are pretty boring because they're just speeding tickets. I wasn't doing anything insane. However,
I mean,
I was going. Okay, one of these, the first ticket I ever got, I was going 170, saw the cop, and got tagged going 90.
Which is great because that made sure you got out of felony level.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the other cop that got me for a speeding ticket, I was going 70 and a 45, and she put down I was going 69. So I have a speeding ticket that says I
Nice.
was going 69. Those are my
Nice.
2 speeding ticket stories. Neither one of which I really wanted to. There's the short version, right? Nothing
Yeah.
crazy. I think one of my favorites though is I had been hanging out with Aiden Riley and another friend of ours at a like arcade bar kind of thing in downtown of a city and I hate driving in big cities. And so I'm going home. I get lost on the highways, eventually find a road that I know leads back to the area that I live in. And so I start going down this road, not knowing what it goes through. Come to find out, it goes through a city that's like inside of another city. So they have like their own private police force. And so I
And
remember
they're
my
needlessly aggressive.
I remember my driving instructor always telling me, "Hey, try to avoid this area entirely if you can, just because of this." So I was driving through, realized I was driving through this area because I saw a sign. And then inside of this city, in a city, there's another city inside of that city, which I also drove through that night. And I'm like, I got to get out of here before I, go too fast and get another speeding ticket because I didn't want a speeding ticket. And I'm going through. I see a road that I recognize. It takes me out to a highway that I know how to get home on. And I'm like, this is perfect. I'll just hang a right and go down to the highway and I'll be out of here. The thing is, I had missed the turn lane for this already. And I'm like looking around. No one's behind me. So I'm like, I'm just going to back up, get in the turn lane and just go. Well, come to find out, across the street from me, going the perpendicular to us, there's a cop just sitting there at the light that I hadn't noticed. And as soon as I back up and get in the turn lane, he turns his lights on. I'm like, crap. I've done it now. So like I immediately like pull into the parking lot that's like right next to this intersection. Like I'm not and he pulls up behind me. He like walks up to my window, and at the time the car that I had crank windows, so I crank the window down. I like poke my
Crank
head
it,
out. I was
Jay.
like, "Good evening, officer." And he's like, "Hey, you're not supposed to do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got a little lost, and I'm just trying to get home. I'm going from this place, trying to go that way." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he saw like the wristband from the restaurant that we had been at. And he's like, "Look, I'm gonna let you off of the warning. Just next time, go down, hit a U-E, come back, take the left turn instead of the right turn. You'll be fine." I'm like, "Yep, I've learned from this experience."
I love
But it's
warnings.
like, beautiful.
Could you imagine he looks at your wristband and he's like, "Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle.
At the
Walk this
time,
line for me."
I was not old enough to have drinks, and I think he could
Ah,
tell
okay.
pretty quickly I hadn't had any.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's me. Um,
Mm. And if that isn't a confession, I don't know what is.
what does that mean?
Nothing. I ain't saying nothing.
uh, anyway.
Um, so most of mine are also vehicle related. Um, I'm kind of terrible. I'm better now, but I got some very hefty tickets. Um, I'm not gonna say the speeds at which I was going, but I was on like an hour long drive home. It was like an hour long drive. This was back when I was in college, and it was late, very late, and I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to get home. I was going very, very, very fast. I don't think my
Just
car could
red
have
flitting
gone
it.
faster physically, because of the inhibitors or the speed limiters they put on them.
Yeah.
But I had to slow down to go through some traffic because I was getting closer to where my home was at the time. It was on the freeway, so um, and then I saw lights behind me. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to jail. Um, I did not go to jail. I got a very, very hefty ticket. Miraculously, did not get a felony that night. I very much should have. It was 42 over the posted speed limit.
Holy moly. That cop
Um,
must have been like, you know what? This is a tired kid. I'm gonna give him a
yeah,
break.
well, and so here's the thing. When he pulled me over, he came up to the window and he was aggressive. I mean, he must have been in a bad mood, or I guess he was just really angry with me. And like, keep in mind, like, even though I was going really fast, like, I'm a very safe driver, right? Like, um, I don't know. People are going to have different opinions on that, but
Mhm.
um, he came up and he was very aggressive, and he was being like really petty with me, and he was like, "Does your speedometer work? Like, do you know where your speedometer is?" And I really wanted to be snarky back to him and be like, "Oh, what's a speedometer? Am I supposed to have one of those?" But I didn't do that because that would have just made things worse.
Would have been
So I was
so
just,
much worse.
yeah, I was trying, I was trying to just be friendly, and I explained to him, I just, was being negligent, and I was trying to get home, because it was a hour long drive and it was late and whatever. And he did the whole flashlight in the car thing, asked me if I had anything to drink, asked me if I had any weapons in the vehicle. And I was like, no, no, no. I was out seeing a friend. It was just a long trip, and I have school tomorrow, so I just wanted to get home. And he wrote me a ticket, didn't haul me off to jail, so that was a win. Um, Another time, my registration was out, and it had been out for quite some time. Um, because
I
my
have definitely not been there before.
yeah, well, it was rough because my car was having transmission issues, and it had been in and out of the shop for months on end. Because the
Yeah.
shop that I took it to was just awful, and they just it was a whole bag of problems. Anyway, so I'd been out of registration. I didn't have the money to get it inspection ready and get it registered. So I'm driving to work, and I had made a left turn through a four-way intersection. There was a police officer in the right-hand lane opposite of the direction that I was turning, if that makes sense. So when I turned left, he
It
and I were
does.
going opposite directions. He somehow, with the eyes of an eagle, saw my registration sticker as I was going through the intersection and waited for the lights to turn green and made a left. He made a U-turn from the right lane to follow me. And keep in mind, at this point, I'm already like a decent ways down the road from him, but I could see him in my mirror. And I was like, oh, he's coming for me. So I did what
I
nobody,
hate it when you can tell that they're coming for you.
it is the worst feeling ever. And I panicked, right? And I did the one thing you should never do. I didn't run. But it had tried to duck in somewhere. Um, and because I was panicking, I made a wrong turn because I was trying to pull into the Sonic. Because I was like, he's going to pull me over anyway, and I was planning on stopping there anyway. But I ended up having to do this whole big loop around this area. Apparently, there was a stop sign in there. I didn't know. I didn't realize he was still behind me. So I'm sitting there at Sonic. He pulls up behind me, right? Turns on his lights. And so I'm just chilling at the Sonic. This cop is there. He's like, he's telling me about all this stuff. He's like, yeah, your sticker's out. Is there any reason that you ran that stop sign back there? And I was like, where? And he told me where, and I was like, I didn't realize there was a stop sign. I'm so sorry. And that was truthful. But yeah, he luckily, miraculously, let me off with a warning. I guess he could just tell that I was just an idiot and a mess.
Oh no.
I think is the luckiest I've ever been in my entire life.
Dude.
But anyway, yeah, I made up this whole story about how I had to drive around. Anyway, but yeah, those are the two that are off the top of my head.
I've missed a stop sign before in front of a cop. That was awkward as fuck, as hell.
Yeah,
Because it was in an area I wasn't familiar with, and the stop sign was behind a tree, which they needed to
Oh.
trim.
yeah,
So I'm like, I remembered when I came through there in the daytime, because it was dark when I was going back home. I remembered there was an intersection near there, but I didn't remember where, and I missed the stop sign. And so I drive past, and as I'm driving past, there's a cop coming out of a gas station on the same road, and he turns his lights on. I'm like, oh, I remember where the stop sign was now. It's right there. So I pull over off to the the shoulder, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey, did you mean to blow through the stop sign?" I'm like, "No, I'm not from around this part of the city." And I was going home. I tried to slow down for it, but didn't see the stop sign because it was behind the tree. And he's like, just to go slower and pay more attention next time. Let me off with a warning. But
yeah. I got a ticket for running a stop sign. I did it. It was a California stop, right?
oh yes,
But it was right. It was when I was living in right next to a college campus, and so because I was living there through a Christian college housing thing, and so there was like the college center for this ministry right down the road from where my house was, and this road was frequented by students all the time because it went right through like one of the main parts of campus, and it was pretty short. It's like a 3 or 5 minute drive between the two of them, but there's like 5 stop signs in between it because it's middle college campus, and it was pretty late at night. There was no one else around. And so I stopped and just rolled through it. There's no one around. I didn't even see this cop. I don't know where he came from. I was driving home. I had just crossed through all these stop signs, and I'm on the road back to my house. And this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Oogly boogly," and he was following me the rest of the way home, and then lit me up right in front of our house. And so, you know how modern police car lights are like brighter than the sun.
Yeah, they're like will burn your retina.
Yeah,
Or gets and
and
shiggles.
the house that we were living in, like every single bedroom has a window, like all the way around the house. And so I tried to like pull over like as far up the road from my house as possible because otherwise the lights were just gonna blind anyone inside and alert them to the fact that I was being pulled over. And the guy was like, "Yeah, you ran a stop sign back there." I was like, "Where?" And he had to try to explain which stop sign. I was like, "Oh, I thought I stopped for that." And he's like, "Nope." He wrote me a ticket. I was like, "Okay, thanks." It was like a $35
Dang.
ticket. I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, whatever, I guess."
He must have
Lord.
been low on quota.
Yeah, or bored, because like again, I don't know where he was. I don't remember seeing him there, but he just all of a sudden was behind me, and I guess he saw me run a stop sign,
I hate when they just appear.
right?
I
Calling it oogly boogly though, very
Oogly boogly.
very accurate.
great oogly boogly.
Either that or like the suspense sound from Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
That's a good sound.
I'm gonna go find that now. One sec.
So, I have a funny brush with the law
Brush
outside
with the law.
Make it sound like you're an outlaw or something.
That's the whole point of this. Isn't the episode going to be called "Brush with the Law"?
Well, now it is.
Oh, okay.
Change the name right now.
Beautiful, thank you. So, I had a brush with the law a while ago. This was back in. I drove a very beautiful King Ranch Ford F-150.
Oh, I remember that truck. That was your
Yup.
mom's truck, right?
It was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That has a whole story of its own. So that truck had a wiring problem towards the end of its life. And it'd be like something where I'd go in, I'd get it fixed. They said they'd fix it. Immediately the next day, something else related to the same thing they said they fixed was already busted. And it made me not trust mechanics for a while. And it was wiring. So I had failed my car inspection because the dome light of the brake lights in the back, that's the tiny light at the very top for those that don't know, was not responsive. So they failed my car. That felt great. And so I got it fixed. I did get it passed. And then a couple days later, I was driving to work, and suddenly I see some lights before I get onto the highway. So I pull off, and I roll down my window, and I say, "Good morning, officer. How may I help you?" And he said, "Well, I saw you do everything right. You slowed down, you put your blinker on, you looked, you turned, but there was no brake light." And on the inside, I'm dying because this was like a multi-$100 fix that was supposed to have happened like a week ago. On the outside, I go, "Oh, I didn't know that my brake lights were out. I am 5 minutes away from my house, and there's another car available for me to use. Can I go get that one?" And he says, "That's perfect. Sounds good to me." And I say, "Thank you, sir. Have a good rest of your day." And he said, "You too." And then I left, and I got my sister's car at the time, which was a really tiny teal
Was
Scion
A
IQ.
teal Scion IQ.
I remember
His
this
name was
vehicle.
Eugene, and I loved him with all of my heart.
And I went to my very blue-collar job where everyone could see everyone's cars, and everyone else had, at the least, hatchbacks. And I come in the
Eugene
tiny
was a
IQ.
hatchback.
That is
Everyone,
true.
don't get me wrong, everyone loved Eugene. They said you had good taste. They laughed at me nonetheless for having to drive such a tiny car
Look,
and be birthed out of it when I left the car.
that's how I felt getting out of Riley's car every time.
Everybody
also-
but me felt that way.
I'm 6'2".
But that's
Yep.
the most, and I think that will be the most pleasant experience I've ever had with a police officer for my whole life.
I will say that it sounded like the one of the best officer interactions possible.
This is like, oh my goodness, this guy is so friendly. I think it was just because I did everything else right. It was just the light.
Yeah.
And I guess my chipper mood caught him off guard. Because
Again, it's the golden retriever.
It's like a puppy. You can't just see a happy puppy and be mad at it.
what
So
kind
true.
of a-hole would you be?
One
I
who
mean,
doesn't like
I've-
puppies.
I've had primarily interactions with like sour mooded cops, which is kind of unfortunate because the one good interaction I've had with a police officer was the first time I had gotten ticketed for my car being out of registration. So separate occasion from the Sonic incident. This one was a motorcycle cop, and there were two of them. They were posted up in opposite directions on a busy road right on the way to school. And he somehow spotted me from all the way on the other side of the road, pulled around and turned to grab me, whatever. And he was very cordial and friendly and whatever, and he still wrote me a ticket. But he was just the nicest guy, and he was in just such a good mood. And I was like, thank you so much for slapping me with this behemoth of a ticket.
Oh my goodness.
Because that time, my car had been out of registration for like 3 years. The
Ooh,
Sonic incident, it was
yeah.
only out for like a couple of months. But
When
But
I
he
was
was really
First
nice when
Oh.
slapping my.
How much was it?
It was like $350.
Ooh, she.
Okay. Yeah. So, the very first time I was ever ticketed for anything, I was 20 something years old, right? I went a long time before I had any issues with police because I'm kind of neurotic about driving. We were coming back home from a cousin's. Oh my goodness, what was it? I think it was her graduation party, her high school graduation party in Houston, Texas. And I had been driving for 5 hours at that point, and we were going through a little town called West Texas. Not the direction of where you are in Texas. It is a town called West Texas. And my parents had called us earlier because we were kind of caravanning about stopping at this one gas station that like almost everybody stops at called Slovacek's. And
Yes.
they got great kolaches and really good like butchered meat if you want, to get good quality sausages or things like that.
Good
gas station,
quality.
Slovacek's.
Yes.
But my parents, we exit off of the highway. My parents are right in front of me, right? I literally just get off the ramp. I'm slowing down from 75 miles an hour exactly, right? And I hit about 50 miles an hour. And apparently, at that point, I had passed a speed limit sign that said 35 miles an hour. And someone who I will call Officer Stick Butt McGee flashes his lights and pulls me over in the far corner of the parking lot of Slovacek's. And he basically doesn't even talk to me. He's like, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I was like, 50? I just got off the highway, so I was slowing down to stop at the stoplight. that was right in front of me, and he looked at me and he was like, "You were supposed to be going 35." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And, took my license and registration, slapped me with a $275 ticket
Holy crap.
for exiting off the highway. And at that point, I didn't really talk to my parents about it. I told them I got a ticket, I paid it and all that. Apparently, I really could have fought that because the speed limit sign he was referring to is about 10 feet before the mouth of the exit that I had just gotten off of.
Ah.
That's wild.
So he had no right to do that. Like, I had no idea. Legitimately zero idea. He was just being sour as heck. And that tainted my experience with police officers from then on out. Because I automatically assume they're going to be butt knuckles.
Yeah. Did you say that was your first time you'd gotten a ticket?
Yeah, my very first time.
I had a very similar experience, but this guy had pulled me over for speeding, and it was on a very populated road. It's not quite a freeway, but it's like one of those like smaller 3-lane highways that you see running through like multiple cities. And in this particular area between two cities, the speed limit fluctuates a bit. It goes from like 35 to 40 to 45 in like different areas, right? It kind of differentiates between the two. But I was following the speed limits to the best of my knowledge, right? Because I was pretty familiar with this road. It, like I said, it's very populated. I used it for a lot of things. But I was driving back there, and at the time I wasn't quite the speed demon, and I'm not anymore now either. But because at the time I was a pretty new driver, I had to have been like 17, 18, somewhere around there. And this guy pulled me over and he said, "Yeah, you were going so-and-so." I was like, "I thought the speed limit was 45. And he's like, No, it's a 35. And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So he wrote me a ticket, and I just went and paid it online. And I went back and I looked a while after, and sure enough, where he said he had pulled me over, it was a 45, or where he said he had clocked me at on the road. Because I asked him where specifically he had clocked my speed at. And he told me. I went back and I looked. That was in the 45 zone before it dropped off to the 35 or whatever.
Fun.
So I absolutely could have fought that and won, but I didn't know. I was a kid. I mean, that wasn't as expensive as my other tickets, but
None of my tickets have ever been under $200.
yeah, that's fair. I've only had 2 that were up there, and that was the first registration and that big speeding ticket. All the other ones have been relatively small in comparison.
Hopefully I never get a ticket. I haven't gotten one yet. The closest I think I've ever gotten to one was a couple years back when I was 6 months out of registration. Because I didn't know that you could do a lot of that process online. I had already gotten my car inspected, and I was under the impression that I couldn't register my car on a weekend.
Right.
But I didn't really have the paid time off to actually do anything about it. And I was on Main Street, funny enough, and I got some Sonic, and I was on my way home because I didn't want to do a DoorDash. And I get in my car, it's fairly dark, and I start to drive down Main Street, and I'm kind of jamming to some music, just like, all right. And suddenly lights flash up behind me. It jump scared me. I was horrified.
I bet.
And just like, I
My
just
goodness.
wanted Sonic. So I get my composure together and I pull off to the side, and I didn't have my insurance identification card on me, but I had it on my phone. So I had that already ready. Um and my license. And he comes up, and I am still like trying to get over the jump scare at this point. I'm still fairly stirred and shaken, and still going with the good evening, officer. How may I help you? And another younger fellow looked very professional. Fortunately, I think I've avoided any a-hole police officers to this day. Um, he just kind of walks up and is like, do you realize you're 6 months out of registration? And I said, yes, and I have the inspection for it. I'm trying to get it registered. And he looks at it. He goes and, like, gets my information down. He comes back with a very, like, he has a sheet, and I think this is a ticket. I think this is my first ticket in my head. I'm like, no. Um, and I'm mostly worried about my insurance at this point because I was still 24. And I heard that, like, if you got any ticket or anything, the rates go up. So I'm
Which they do.
just dying on the inside, and he comes over and he's like, all right, you're really clean, you have nothing on record, I'm just gonna give you this warning. And
Oh,
the warning isn't on record either, so
that's
That is the
sweet.
nice thing about warnings.
it was
How come you get all the
really
nice cops?
nice.
I want a nice cop.
I,
What? One thing that I
don't
think is
know.
really funny is that I got all of my like major tickets before 25, and luckily my insurance has not skyrocketed or anything, or it didn't. But I just think that that's really funny that now that I'm above 25, I'm actually a pretty uh risk-free driver. But like back in the day,
That's
Yeah.
why
Un-
the insurance rates are so high for y'all.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, for most of college, I was on actually, I think all of college, I was on my parents' like family plan that they had had for eons. So, I was only paying like $90 a month for full coverage.
Mm.
But anyway, I have some other non-traffic violation related incidents. Actually, both of which that took place at that house that I was talking about that was through the college ministry. Um, so the first one was more, I guess, supernatural related.
Mm.
Depending on how you feel about any of this, you can take it with a grain of salt. There was a guy who was living in our house because we had like a house that was packed with like 12, 13 guys at one time. And the story goes that he had gone through some possession, not like of drugs, like spiritual, demonic possession, in the house. And so they needed to get him medically treated because he was bashing his head against the bed frame. Because we had like bunk beds that were all like hand built. And they didn't want to tell the police that he was possessed because they didn't want it. They wanted them to take it seriously. Um, so they had played it off as like a mental illness episode, I think. Um, anyway, yeah, so we had a bunch of police officers come in and they were like questioning everyone. There's like 5 different officers in this house in like different rooms talking to different guys and whatnot. Because they had to get reports from like all the people in the house at the time. And it was kind of crazy because we actually had like visitors over from one of the other houses within the program. And they were like, yeah, we don't live here. So there was that. That was fun.
Rough.
Dang.
Yeah, that was quite the night. The other time was actually not police necessarily. It was feds.
Oh,
Yeah.
So within
the
this
feds,
program,
huh?
yeah, within this program, right? Because it was meant for college students, but also exchange students because it was also an outreach program. So they would bring in these exchange students and try to convert them, I guess, or nurture their recent conversion. And so a lot of these guys were not American citizens because they're exchange students. Apparently, one of them, well, I'll back this up even further. So these feds show up at the door, right? And I think I was actually the one who answered the door because they showed up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was getting ready to go out to work, which is the only reason why I was awake. So I go out there. I don't have my glasses on. And I thought I had heard someone knocking. And I eventually went to go answer, and they had already started like walking away. But of course, I was stupid because I couldn't see them because I didn't have my glasses on. So I opened the door and I look out. I'm like, huh? And these guys come walking back up, and they're like, "Yeah, we're looking for so and so." I was like, "Okay." They're like, "Do you know where he is?" I was like, "No, he hasn't lived here in months."
Totally not suspicious.
Right. So these feds come into the house because they have to look for him, right? They had all the paperwork. I looked over it after I had gotten my glasses, of course. And they're looking through this house, and they had to go and wake up all the other guys in the house. So they're like banging on doors, whatever, trying to wake all these, teenage boys up. Everyone's just half asleep talking to these federal officers. Turns out, I guess he hadn't renewed his visa or something was wrong with his visa. And the reason why he had moved out is because he ran away to go hide with his aunt. So he was living with his aunt in like Florida or something. And we're like, yeah, we don't know where he is. We haven't seen him in months. He hasn't lived here in quite some time. And they left after, I guess, getting everyone's statement and searching the house. But it was definitely quite an interesting morning. I was like, can I go? I'm going to be late to work. But yeah, all of that could have been avoided if I just not answered the door. Because they were literally walking away.
So remember, kids, put on a brave face, be a cheerful golden retriever, and sometimes don't answer the door. Unless
legit.
they call out that they're the police. Then you might want to answer that.
I was in gym shorts and a awful tank top, and my hair was all messed up. I didn't have my glasses. I was half awake. They're just asking me questions about this guy. I'm like, I don't know.
Just woke up.
So that was the other one that I had, but that was an interesting morning. I'd forgotten about that until this topic came up today.
That's
Couldn't
so
imagine
funny.
that was an interesting morning. Holy moly.
I think we have time for one more story if anybody has anything else.
I got another warning one. Because I got a lot
How
of
do you
those.
keep getting warnings?
My thing is, I think half the time it's either because I'm mostly because I'm white. Let's be real here.
Oh my.
I don't want to be that guy, but
No, you're an axolot.
yeah,
That should raise more questions, honestly.
You are correct. Anyway, I was driving home from work Saturday night. And Saturday nights, I end up leaving from work at like 10:30 or 11 most of the time. So it's like 11 o'clock at night. No one's around. I'm going, I don't even know how fast I was going on a 45 road. It's dark. And again, literally no one's there. It's just drizzling a little bit. I drive by, and then this cop appears out of nowhere behind me. And I basically pull over because, why not? And as you should. So he comes up to my window. I'm like, hey, do you have any idea how fast you were going? I'm like, no.
You're not supposed to say no.
So I look at him and
No.
I'm tired. I'm trying to go
No,
home.
I'm
And I'm
not
like, I
going,
tell him, it's
officer.
like, hey, I look both ways out my window and I'm like, there's no one else on this road. And then he looks at me and he laughs. He's like, yeah, I mean, you're right. There's no one on this road. Just drive slower next time.
Oh my goodness.
And lets me go.
That was a very chill officer. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Especially when you admitted negligence.
Yeah. And
I was
then
probably
you
not
pointed
going
out,
over
well,
70.
officer, no one's down this road, so...
I literally,
There was no one in front of me to.
there was literally no one
on.
on this road. No one at all. It was
I mean,
just
yes,
me in
we
the
know the
office.
facts. I just think it's really funny. It's that time of night you just start sassing the officer, and
Oh.
he's like, "Ah, dang, you're right. I guess I'll let you
I
go."
had been at work for 6 hours. I work a 5-hour shift, and it's a Saturday night. I do not want to be. I want to be home. And I think the guy understood.
Yeah.
But I've gotten lucky more often than I should have with instances like this.
Yeah.
Gotten a ticket every time. Every single time. I have not gotten a single warning. Except for when I was having registration issues. Which I thought that was stupid. But,
I'd never been caught for speeding, though. That's another thing you gotta take into consideration.
Yeah,
I'm more than
okay.
likely to drive 5 miles under the speed limit.
That's because
than-
you drive like a grandpa.
I am, though. I mean, I'm not actually a grandpa, but, I live that life.
The only a-hole officer I ever had, I kind of deserved it because that was my first speeding ticket, and that was the one where he caught me going 90 and I was going 100 before I saw him. And that was a state trooper too. That wasn't even like a police officer. That was a state trooper.
Yikes, dude.
Yeah, and he pulls me over. I look out the window at him, and he's like, it's regular stuff, but I just didn't like his tone. But I mean, what can you do? I deserved it, so.
You did. Anyway.
You
Words?
got any words for us, Aiden?
Words.
I do.
Wonderful. Words with Aiden. Let's go.
This broadcast was brought to you by Nada Butter, Stick Butt. I'm going to jail. 42. Stop sign. Warning. Oogly boogly. West the town. Sausage. Ticket. And the feds. Have a good night or good brunch.
Okay,
When
why
was
did you turn to
42?
the reporter fish from SpongeBob?
Breaking news.
Breaking news! Also, it took me so long to realize the first word you said was Nutter Butters,
Nada Butter.
but I also think that's good. I think that was getting cut from the episode, so I don't know if that's gonna make sense.
I think that is after the part.
Okay,
I think that is
It is.
after. Yeah.
It
Okay,
is.
Like
I
just
stand
It is
there.
corrected.
after the 3-minute
Yeah.
mark. No one gets to see those 3 minutes.
No one gets to
Well-
see the first 3.
Thank you all for watching. And happy brunch to Just Hollywood, California. We have a wonderful time, a wonderful now, as it were. And we will see you all next time.
Have a wonderful
Goodbye,
now.
everybody.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy brunch.
Happy brunch.